With under 1 week to go until the World Cup kicks off for 2023, the videos for Fantasy are going to come thick and fast. And I thought today I put out my top picks for round 1. Now obviously if you know your rugby, then you'll know you have elite players like Dupont, Ardi Sarvea, who to be honest are going to perform week in, week out. But in fantasy, it's not just about picking the best players every single game. Sometimes the top teams and the best players are going to play another top team and more best players. For example, we need to be smart with who we pick, and one way to do that is looking at the fixtures. Now, we all know the opening game is France versus New Zealand. Of course, players are going to perform in that game, but there might be players in certain positions that are going to be better because they're playing weaker teams. And before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, turn notifications on to never miss a video. So first up, at prop, I've gone with Angus Ball. Now, if anyone has seen my previous video with the best cheat players, he was a huge contender for the prop in that. He's 4.5 stars, or credits, and to be honest, he's probably Australia's best player on form going into the World Cup. As a prop, you're going to get lots of points for overturning scrums, winning your own scrum, so there's a lot more potential for props to win points. And similar to, say, a Genge from England, he carries the ball really well and is probably one of the biggest ball carrying threats for Australia. With 20% of players in the fantasy game already picking him, he's going to be a crucial player for round 1. Next up, a hooker, is Julian Montoya. Argentina seem pretty much favourites to top their group. The other contenders are probably England, who we all know are pretty poor on form at the moment. With Montoya being the captain, and if many of you watch the Prem, he's Leicester's captain, so he's an absolute workhorse both on and off the ball. He's going to be a really good contender for defensive master as well, as a booster. So keep in mind your boosters, because Montoya, even though he can get off the back of the driver maul and score some tries, he's also going to get around the park and tackle like a machine. In the second row, I've probably gone for a bit of an outsider pick here, in Federico Ruzza. He's performed pretty decently over the past few Six Nations, and he's also captain Italy in the run-up to the World Cup. He can play both second row and even sixth if they need, and Italy's first 2 fixtures are looking pretty tasty in Namibia and Uruguay. Now this is what I mean, we could pick French players instead of him, for example, but they're playing New Zealand. We know that French players are going to perform, but against New Zealand they might not pick up as many points. However, Ruzza against Namibia, in my opinion, looks pretty good. In the back row, I've also picked a player who has a pretty decent fixture in the first round, in Ireland's Caelan Doris. Now, in my opinion, he's probably been player of the Six Nations for the past 2 or 3. He's been absolutely fantastic and, to be honest, Ireland's leader in both ball carrying and defence. With Ireland playing Romania in the first round, there is a chance that they do rotate. However, Andy Farrell does like to keep a pretty strong side all throughout, and I believe Caelan Doris is pretty much a linchpin to that side. He can play anywhere on the back row. Also, only 8% of people have picked him in fantasy so far, making him the 10th most picked player in the game. So in my opinion, it's a pretty big differential for a fantastic player who has a great fixture. Another contender for player of the tournament is going to be World Player of the Year, Antoine Dupont. We all know what this guy can do, and even though he's playing New Zealand in the first game, which is probably going to be one of the toughest tests in the whole World Cup, I believe Antoine Dupont is, well, not only the best player in the world, but can rack up some pretty good points. If France are to go on and win that game, in the first game of the France Rugby World Cup, then Antoine Dupont is going to be critical to that side. So anything that they do, he's going to come off shining and looking like the best player. At 10, I've gone with another Italian actually, in Paolo Garbisi. Now, Garbisi has shown his world status many times, not even just for Italy, but also playing for Montpellier now. Once again, targeting fixtures, Italy are playing Namibia, and they should absolutely steamroll that game with the players that they've got. And I believe that Garbisi is the number one out-and-out 10. There is Tommaso Allen as well, but I think they see him more as a fullback in this World Cup, so I think Garbisi is pretty good for minutes. In the centre, I've gone with Gary Ringrose. If you play Six Nations Fantasy, this guy is, to be honest, a potential captain for each round. He performs like no other in that Ireland backline, and he's probably the most solid for racking up points each game. The only problem I do have with him is there are a few centres for Ireland in the World Cup squad, and being Romania in that first game, rotation is definitely possible, especially with really tough games that they need to win against South Africa and Scotland. So that's the only hurdle I see, but Gary Ringrose is such a good player for fantasy on his day. And finally, at fullback, or back three, the only survivor to my previous video in best cheap picks is Ange Kapuatsu. At 5 credits, he's an absolute steal for that outside back position, and the opening fixture against Namibia is just so tasty. And with Italy, I don't really think that they're going to rotate much, so I feel like Kapuatsu is even up there with a captain pick for round 1. They've been performing excellently not only in the Six Nations but also in the lead up to the World Cup, so I think Italy are really going to be dark horses, especially in fantasy rugby. So that's my top picks for round 1 in each position. Let me know down in the comments if I've missed anyone, or if you've already made a draft team and you think they should definitely be in my top picks, then please let me know down in the comments. I really appreciate all of your guys' support. The comments are absolutely bouncing at the moment, so keep them coming. And look, if you aren't subscribed to the channel and you're new around here, then please just go ahead and subscribe. We're building a pretty good community around here, so yeah, really appreciate all you guys' views, likes and comments. There's going to be plenty more videos coming this week in the lead up to the World Cup, and definitely turn notifications on because you don't want to miss the first round team selection video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.